Hi, that's me, Rick Mears in the Indy 500. When I'm in a race car, there are plenty of experts around to take care of everything that needs service. That way I can concentrate on driving and winning. On my own car, I like to do the work myself. But before I start on a project, I go for expert advice. On the street or on the track, it's my life riding my car. So I want to be sure that everything it needs doing gets done right. Here's Margot King with All-Star Tech Team member Dave Clark from Pennzoil. Dave will give you the how and why of oil and lube maintenance. Margot will put his words into action and show you how to do it on your own car.
I know changing the oil in my car can't be that difficult, but it sure is important.
You're right, Margot. Whether you change the oil yourself or you take it to a car dealer, a quick lube, or a service station, it's very important that you follow a regular schedule when you change the oil.
Now, will my owner's manual tell me how often to change the oil?
Most manufacturers have a set guideline for changing the oil. What most people don't realize is that they actually have two different schedules, what they call normal service and severe service. What we fail to realize is that the severe service is probably a lot more normal than normal service. For example, the following conditions are all classified as severe driving: short trips when outside temperatures are below freezing, hot weather driving in stop-and-go traffic, driving in excess of normal highway speeds, operating in dusty conditions or on dirt roads, towing a trailer, using a car-top carrier, camper, or otherwise carrying heavy loads, operating on steep grades such as driving through mountains, and extensive idling. Most of us frequently include that type of driving in our normal routine. I know I work for an oil company, but I don't tell you this just to sell more oil. We receive numerous testimonials from customers whose cars run 300,000 and 400,000 miles, and they all have two things in common. One, they use a quality oil, and two, they change their oil on a regular schedule, usually around 3,000 miles.
Now, you mentioned a quality oil. How do I determine the quality of an oil?
Well, car manufacturers recommend oil quality by the API service levels. The API has developed a symbol which enables you to tell the service level of the oil. The symbol is divided into three sections. The first section lists the API category. You should make sure that this matches the category in your owner's manual. The middle section tells you the SAE viscosity grade, and the bottom section will say energy conserving only for oils that have proven ability to save you gasoline.
Now, after I've selected the proper oil, are there any tips you can give me on how to change the oil?
Well, Margot, you don't have to be a professional mechanic to change your oil, but there are a few tips that will ensure that you will do a better job. First, get the car fully up to operating temperature. The best time to change the oil is after you return from a trip. If you don't do that, make sure the car runs for at least 5 minutes. If you start the car in your garage, make sure you have adequate ventilation. Margot, normally when we're working underneath the car, we would use the safety jack stands to keep the car up in the air and to keep it safe. Today, because we have the cameras that we needed to get underneath the car, I'm going to use the lift to raise it up. Before I raise it up, if you would take off the oil filler cap, that will enable us to get the water vapors and the gasoline vapors out when we're draining the oil off.
Okay.
If you've got that off, I'll raise it up, and we can get the cameras under and see what you're doing when you're... Position the drain pan under the drain plug. Remember, the oil will be hot, so protect your fingers when you remove the drain plug.
There it goes.
Once the plug is removed, it's a good idea to inspect the threads. The oil drain plug will be removed more than any bolt on the car, and you don't want the oil draining out unnoticed because the drain plug leaks. Take your time and let all of the oil drain out of the engine. The last drops are the most contaminated. Change the oil filter every time you change the oil. With today's smaller engines with a small crankcase capacity of 3 or 4 quarts, leaving the oil filter on would mean leaving 1/4 to 1/3 of the crankcase contaminated with old oil. When removing the oil filter, be sure that the old gasket comes off with the filter. Inspect the engine mounting base to be sure it is clean of any foreign material. Inspect it visually to be sure it is clean. On some cars, this may require a mirror. A small piece of grit or a piece of gasket can result in an oil leak. Inspect the gasket on the new filter to be sure it is not contaminated after being removed from its package. Oil the gasket with fresh motor oil. Be careful when installing the new filter and don't cross-thread it. Screw the filter on by hand until light resistance is felt, indicating the gasket has contacted the filter base. Note the exact location of some printing or logo on the filter as an index point. Tighten the filter one full turn or until the index point has returned to the same position. A filter cap wrench or strap wrench is normally needed. Be careful if you use a strap wrench, as it can slip and make you think you have tightened a full turn. Do not over-tighten it. This will bind the gasket and result in leakage. When purchasing a filter, always make sure that you follow the manufacturer's application guidelines. It's possible that two filters may look alike on the outside and not be the same on the inside. I have a cutaway of a filter here that I can show you some of the differences that may be internal to the oil filter. First of all, the mounting base has threads that may differ in size. Foreign cars usually have metric threads. Domestic cars usually have U.S. standard. If you install a filter that has the incorrect thread, it may loosen and fall off the engine. Second, filters differ in the amount of contamination that they can withhold in the filter in the element. Also, there is a relief valve inside of this filter that is set to open and bypass at different pressures. It's possible that two identical looking filters may differ as much as 45 psi in the bypass setting. If you install the wrong filter, it's possible that the engine won't be getting any filtered oil at all. Now that all the oil has drained out and the oil has stopped dripping, wipe off the drain plug and reinstall. Install the plug tight enough so it won't leak, but no tighter. Never use an impact gun on the drain plug. Now that we've got the oil out of the car, Margot, let's lower it and put the new oil in. Would you check the owner's manual and see what viscosity of oil to use for the temperatures that we expect during this service interval?
Okay, where was that? All right, here it is here. My manual says that in temperatures, anything above 0 degrees Fahrenheit, I use 10 W30 weight.
Sounds like a good choice.
While we're under the hood filling the oil, is this a good time to check for other maintenance areas?
This is a real good time. While you're waiting for the oil, there's several areas that need to be checked. One of them is the air cleaner. The air cleaner is located here. This air cleaner is like the oil cleaner, and it should be changed periodically also. May check that one out. That one looks like it's in pretty good shape right now.
A little different than what we're used to.
Yeah, this is one of the new panel type air cleaners. It works the same way as the more familiar round ones do, but they do need to be serviced periodically. This is also a good time to be checking your other fluid levels. You've got your power steering reservoir back here. Why don't you check the level in it?
Looks full.
Okay, I've got the brake reservoir over here, and I'll check it out. And it looks like it's in pretty good shape also. Okay, we also have some other fluid reservoirs under here. You have your cooling system radiator, the overflow, and this one looks like it's full. You also have the batteries, and we can check the level in the battery. And this battery is in good shape. The windshield washer should be checked to make sure that you have enough fluid in it.
Looks good.
Okay, this is also a good time to be checking your hoses to make sure that they're in good shape. Check the belts to make sure that they're tight, not frayed. Okay, we should also be checking the oil levels now to make sure that we've got the correct amount of oil. So why don't you pull